You're walking alone on a quiet street at night. The streetlights glow orange. The air is cold. You feel like someone is watching you, but when you turn around, there's no one there. That feeling, the fear of an invisible predator, is exactly what one man turned into reality for an entire generation in California. This is not just another retelling of a famous serial killer. This is a journey into a mind that wanted an audience, wanted fame, and wanted to live forever as a ghost in the dark. Tonight, we're going to step into the world of the Zodiac killer, the man who bragged to the police, coded his threats, and walked past officers on the street and still got away. Stay with this video till the end, because the most terrifying part is not how he killed. It's why he may never have stopped. Our story begins on a lonely road just outside Vallejo, California. It's December 20th, 1968. Two teenagers, David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, park their car on a quiet stretch of gravel. It's one of those typical lover's lane spots. Silent, isolated, and miles away from help. The night is cold. The only light comes from the car's interior and the stars above. They think they're alone. They are wrong. From the darkness, another car pulls up. Headlights wash over the road. Someone steps out. No shouting, no warning, just an explosion of gunfire. But here's what matters most. This wasn't a robbery. Nothing of value was taken. Whoever did this came there for one purpose only, to kill. The police had no idea yet, but this was the opening move in a twisted game that would haunt them for decades. 6 months later, July 4th, 1969. Fireworks explode over the Bay Area sky. People are celebrating. And at Blue Rock Springs Park, another young couple sits in a parked car. Out of nowhere, a vehicle pulls in behind them. The driver steps out and walks toward their car. He looks like just another man out on a holiday night. Then he raises a gun and unleashes a storm of bullets. When it's over, the attacker doesn't search their pockets or take the car. Instead, he leaves, calmly. 40 minutes later, a phone rings at the Vallejo Police Department. A quiet, monotone voice says, "I want to report a double murder." He gives directions to the crime scene, describes the weapon used, and then says something truly chilling. That he was also responsible for the murders on that lonely road 6 months earlier. He ends the call. No panic, no rush, just cold confidence. That voice on that phone is the moment the story changes. This is when the anonymous killer becomes something else. A man who wants credit, who wants the world to know his work. Soon after, letters start arriving at newspapers. They are mocking, arrogant, and signed with a strange crosshair symbol. And 3 words that became infamous. This is the Zodiac. Highlight. Most people think the Zodiac's power came from his codes and his letters, but the most terrifying moment in this entire case is something very different. A mistake. October 11th, 1969. A cab driver named Paul Stein picks up a fare near San Francisco's Theater District. His passenger gives an address in a wealthy neighborhood called Presidio Heights. Later that night, residents hear a gunshot. When they look out their windows, they see a horrifying scene. The cab parked at the curb, its driver slumped over the wheel, and a man leaning into the front seat, wiping surfaces carefully, methodically. This isn't panic. This is cleanup. The witnesses call the police while the stranger is still there. Patrol officers in the area get a description over the radio, but there's a fatal error. The suspect is mistakenly described as a black male. Minutes later, 2 officers spot a man walking casually down the street just blocks away. He is white, heavy-set, wearing glasses. He does not run. He does not hide. He just walks. Because he doesn't match the description, the officers let him pass. Think about that for a second. He has just shot a man in the head. He's probably still amped with adrenaline, but when police drive by, he remains calm enough to keep walking as if nothing happened. Later, in one of his letters, the Zodiac brags that he spoke with the police that night, that he misled them and walked right past their noses. Whether he actually spoke to them or not, one thing is clear. He learned something that night. He could stand in the open, under the street lights, and still remain invisible. The Zodiac didn't just kill, he performed. He sent letters to newspapers, taunted detectives, and included strange symbols that looked like puzzles. One of those puzzles, a grid of 340 symbols, would remain unsolved for more than 50 years. For decades, people believed that cracking that code might reveal his name, his identity, the answer to the biggest question in the case: who is the Zodiac? But when modern codebreakers finally decoded it, what they found was not a confession, not a name, but a glimpse into his warped belief system. The message talked about enjoying the hunt, mocking the people trying to catch him, and one disturbing idea: that his victims were slaves who would serve him in some kind of twisted afterlife. That tells us something important. This wasn't just about violence or about power in this world. In his mind, he was building a legacy that extended beyond death. He didn't see people as human beings. He saw them as trophies, as possessions, as a way to become something larger than life, a legend. And in a horrible way, he succeeded. After a few years, the Zodiac's letters began to slow down. Then eventually, they stopped. This left everyone with the same burning questions. Did he die? Was he arrested for another crime? Did he move away and start over somewhere else? One of the main suspects, a man named Arthur Lee Allen, seemed to fit many details. He was strange, had a fascination with violence, and even owned a watch with a symbol similar to the Zodiac's logo. But fingerprints didn't match. DNA didn't match. Handwriting experts were divided. In the end, no court ever proved he was the Zodiac. So, what really happened? In one of his final letters, the Zodiac hinted at something chilling: that he might keep killing but stop taking credit for it. That his future murders would look like ordinary robberies, crimes of passion, or accidents. If that's true, then the official Zodiac might have gone silent. But the man behind the mask could have continued hurting people, hidden in the noise of everyday crime. And that's the scariest possibility of all. Not that he disappeared, but that he blended in. When people hear serial killer, they often imagine a criminal mastermind, a genius who's always 10 steps ahead. But psychological profiles of the Zodiac suggest something different. He might not have been a genius at all. He could have been a deeply insecure, socially isolated man who felt ignored and powerless in real life. The costume, the symbol, the letters, the codes, all of it could have been a way to feel important, to force the world to pay attention. In his daily life, he might have been boring, awkward, maybe even invisible. But as the Zodiac, he became the center of a national nightmare. Every news broadcast, every front page, every terrified conversation, he owned all of it. That's the irony. The monster that terrified a city might not have been a powerful predator in his normal life. He might have been a nobody, desperate to be seen. Today, the case is still officially unsolved. Evidence has improved. DNA technology is better. Amateur investigators comb through files, compare faces, match timelines, and debate suspects online. But the identity of the Zodiac remains locked in the past. In an old case file, in a forgotten attic box, or maybe buried with the man himself. And yet, the story refuses to die. Maybe it's because we don't just fear what he did. We fear what he represents. The idea that someone can hide in plain sight, blend into everyday life, and still carry that kind of darkness inside them. The Zodiac isn't just a killer from the 1960s. He's a reminder that the scariest monsters don't always live in shadows. Sometimes they walk past us on the sidewalk. Sometimes they sit quietly on the bus. Sometimes they look perfectly normal. Until they pick up a pen and write to the world, "This is the Zodiac speaking." If you're still here, you've just walked through one of the darkest unsolved cases in American history. Let me know in the comments. Do you think the Zodiac is dead or still out there, living behind a different name, carrying a secret he never plans to share?